loser. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another video, and today's video is going to be my review on the latest episode of Sword Art Alternative Gun Gale Online, Episode 6, SAO Loser. And I gotta be honest with you guys, this episode had so much going on in it. And normally when you're talking anime and you get episodes where they're doing like 25 different things and the episodes are all over the place, jumping back and forth, they're usually not good episodes. But this episode was one of those rare exceptions to that rule, in my opinion. So the episode begins with Lynn. She's in Gun Gale Online. She's actually at the gun shop where she originally purchased the original P-chan. Now, if you guys remember, back in episode 5, P-chan was destroyed by Eva when she unloaded 20 rounds from her pistol into P-chan and destroyed it. So Lynn's there, she finds a replacement P-chan, she instantly buys it, and she's walking out of the gun shop content with her purchase, and she's actually cradling the gun and debating on what to call it. Should she call it P-chan 2, P-chan the second, and then finally just settles on calling it P-chan. P-chan is fine. But as Lynn is walking, she runs into none other than Eva, who is standing there on the sidewalk looking down at her and says, "Long time no see." And then we transition to the real world. We're back at Karen's apartment where the members of the local rhythmic gymnastics club from the local high school are there. They're watching Lynn's battle with the pro team and the battle between them and Lynn and all these different battles that Lynn was in during Squad Jam. And basically what they're there for is they're there to research. They're there to ask Karen questions so that way they can learn, grow stronger, and defeat Lynn next time in the next Squad Jam tournament. We also get brief introductions to these characters from the Amazon team, and we also get to see just whom was behind whom as far as the member of the club and who their avatar was in the game. And the conversation eventually comes down to Saki and Karen, as Saki turns to Karen and asks her point blank, "Are you going to participate in the next Squad Jam tournament if there is one?" And Karen kind of breaks her heart about this. She said, "No, Lynn will not be participating in the next Squad Jam tournament unless, of course, it is something urgent or dire." And, of course, this breaks these girls' hearts. They want Lynn to compete so that they can go up against her again. But they're seeing that Karen is adamant Lynn's not going to participate, much to their disappointment. So eventually they split ways, but before they take their leave, Saki pleads with Karen to reconsider joining the next Squad Jam tournament when it comes out. But Karen again just says, no, that's not going to happen. So the gymnastics club takes their leave and we go back to Karen. She's flying home because she's on spring break. And when she gets home, she meets up with her friend Miyu. And they're talking about Karen's haircut as she's randomly snapping snapshots of her and getting pictures and complimenting her. And finally, their conversation turns from that to Gun Gale Online. And then, of course, to Elsa, because as they're talking, Elsa's new song comes across the wire, and that's when we find out that Elsa, after releasing this song, has taken a break. She's going abroad, so they say. She's out of the picture for a while. And this is interesting here because it kind of is one of those clues that leads towards the theory that Pitahui is in fact Elsa. But that's not the discussion of this video. This video is to review the episode, so I digress on that. So it's very interesting that that happens in that particular way. So we see the conversation go on, and eventually we rejoin Karen. She's flying back to school in Tokyo. And as she's flying, she gets two messages come across her phone. The first one is from Zaskar rather, announcing the new Squad Jam 2 tournament. It will have a new different sponsor, an individual sponsor, and it'll have more refined rules. Please see the rule book. And again, this is something interesting because if you guys remember the recap episode last week, Pitahui made the comment to him, well, I'm going to sponsor the next Squad Jam tournament. I have the money to do it. Why can't I? She wanted to participate. So again, that's one of those interesting things there that kind of is another clue towards Elsa being the real Pitahui. But Karen sees this message and then gets another one almost instantaneously from Saki, asking her if she had seen the announcement, really hope that Lynn's going to participate, and of course asks Karen to meet up at her place again for more delicious sweets. So anyway, we get off the plane with Karen. She's back at her apartment, and as she's getting ready to walk into the building, she hears someone behind her who just says, "Are you Karen?" And she turns around and finds this really strange guy standing there. And this strange guy just says, "Don't panic, it's me, M." He identifies himself as the real M. And now Karen doesn't know what to think about this. At first she's shocked and very uneasy about it because, of course, typical university student, stranger approaches you. That's the first thing that crosses your mind. And she demands to hear proof from this guy that he is in fact M. But he just skates around the question. He says, "No matter what I tell you, no matter what proof I try to explain, you're not going to believe me. It could just be somebody that just picked it up randomly." So eventually he does convince Karen to sit down and listen to what he has to say, although Karen cannot confirm that this is the real M. So she's just sitting there kind of half-heartedly listening. And we're going on, we get dialogue, and the guy basically just introduces himself out of the blue. He says, "My name is Goshi, and I need to ask your help for something." And of course, again, Karen is real hesitant because she doesn't know if this is the real M or not. And finally, he just leans over to her and says, "You have to help me. If you don't participate in the next Squad Jam tournament, 2 people are going to die. Me and the real Pita Hui." And Karen doesn't know what to make of this. She's just stunned. And that's when M finally goes into detail about what he means. And we get like this brief little backstory about Pita Hui and her character. Pita Hui was a beta tester for Sword Art Online, the death game. And she intended on playing Sword Art Online, being one of the captives, ultimately, when it went live. But something had come up in the real world. It offered her a real change, a way to get out of where she was now, and she went and took it and became very successful. That's all M would say. And this piqued Karen's interest because she's like, "Wait, are you trying to tell me that Pita Hui is like the president of a successful company or something like that?" And Goshi is just like, "Yeah, something like that. She's really successful." Again, one of those hints towards, hint, hint, Pita Hui is Karen confirmed. But anyway, regardless of that, finally M divulges what Pita Hui's real intentions are. And that is, ever since that thing in her life changed it, most people would consider that lucky. But apparently Pita Hui is like reverse wired because it was the worst thing that could happen. When she found out SAO became a death game, she was heartbroken that she didn't get the chance to participate. She really wanted it to be a death game. She's obsessed by death. And eventually she calmed down after the original Sword Art incident, but it sparked back up again. And then it died away a little bit, and then it sparked back up again. And Karen is she's still dumbstruck by this. She's like, "Well, wait a minute. Sounds like she's suicidal, but you're not going to the authorities, you're not going to the police, you're coming to me. Why?" And that's when M finally says, "You can stop her, because Pita Hui is intent on dying in the game. If she doesn't, she will commit suicide. And she will kill me too." And Karen, of course, remembers back to the letter that M had in the game. And I think this was the tipping point where Karen's like, okay, this is really M, but I know Pita Hui is crazy, but Karen is just dumbfounded by this. There's no other way to explain it. She's convinced now that this is M, but although she knows Pita Hui is crazy and insane, she really didn't think that Pita Hui would take it that far. So they're going on, and finally Lin agrees to participate in this tournament when M brings up the promise. He said, "Pita Hui will not commit suicide, and I will not die if you are the one to defeat her because of your promise." And then we're reminded of that promise that Lin and Pita Hui made when they first met, about how if Lin defeated Pita Hui, they would meet in real life. So M is saying, if you're the one that defeats Pita Hui, she won't commit suicide, I won't have to die, and everything will be good. So Karen, of course, now that she's heard all this, she agrees that she will participate in this tournament, but then of course, her mind has to go back to the situation at hand, because now she's on her own, because Pita Hui is going to participate in this tournament with M. So Lynn is on her own. She doesn't know how she's going to be able to pull this off. And we actually learn how she'll pull it off here in a little bit. So that point aside, Karen finally convinces Im to calm down because he's gotten so worked up over this and offers him a coffee. And as she does that, Im does the wall slam move on her and admits to her that he loves Pito. He's in love with the real life Pito Hui. And Karen is just like, I'm wall slammed, and the guy that's doing this is just telling me he's in love with another girl. You know, because in Japanese anime, that wall slam thing, that's what the male character will do when he wants to say something about love or a relationship with the female. So Karen's just like, great. So this is all going on. Eventually, their conversation ends. Im leaves, but also gives Lynn, or Karen at this point, his contact information if something comes up, because now Karen has agreed that Lynn will participate. So we then see that as the end of the episode. Their dialogue ends. Im or Goshi leave, and we're back to Karen in her apartment at night. She's still dumbstruck by what Im had said. And then she's also comes back to the realization about the situation at hand. She has to defeat Pito Hui, but she has nobody that she can call on. Lynn doesn't have a whole lot of friends aside from the Amazons. And of course, the Amazons are going to participate in this tournament and they want to defeat Lynn. So, of course, they're not going to be of much help to her. So finally, Karen looks up at her phone. Miyu is calling her. And that's when Karen, the light bulb goes off. She asks Miyu to join her team in Squad Jam 2 to save Pito and Im. And we go back to her hometown where Miyu is back at her home and she's going to go along with this. And she says her character's name, Fukizara, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. I'm pretty sure I'm not. But anyway, Fukizara is the character in the poster there with the blonde hair and the big combat helmet, and that's her. So these two are going to go up into Squad Jam against Pito Hui and Im to save them and to fulfill that promise with Pito Hui, and that was pretty much the episode. So like I said, this episode, it was all over the place, but it was all over the place in a good way. We got some great dialogue on what the stakes are for this new Squad Jam, because Lynn had already said, or Karen rather at this point, has said that Lynn would not participate unless the situation was dire. Well, the situation can't get more dire than two of your friends going to die if you don't. We also learned who Fukizara is in Miyu, and we learned that she's going to be making an appearance here before too long in the anime when Squad Jam 2 begins. And of course, the next episode is Squad Jam 2 Begins. So we learned that. We learned who Im is in real life, and we got more hints as to who Pito Hui is in real life. Elsa. But anyway, I digress on all that. Great episode, great development, a lot of heavy dialogue in it. But overall, it was a really good episode. I give it a 9 out of 10. But as always, in the comments section down below, let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just there? What are your thoughts on the upcoming episode? What are your thoughts on Elsa being Pito Hui? Just what are your thoughts about all this in the comments section down below? Because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. All right, everyone. As always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.